Hi guys, it's Ray here from Man City Fan TV. I'm here with the man himself. I'm with my man Neeks from the YouTube channel Neeks Sports. I think it is. Is that right?
Yeah.
And I've got to say, you can tell he's wearing his Man United top. Very few opportunities for him to wear that this season. I've got to say a little bit about Neeks. Great channel. I mean, Neeks brought me to the attention. I wasn't expecting it. Back in August of the masses, or the YouTube masses, when chatting to some Arsenal fans outside the M, and that video must have had about 50,000 views. And honestly, it's crazy. It has been hundreds of people, mostly City fans, have seen that video and stopped me and said, "Oh yeah, I saw you on that video with those Arsenal fans." So I was really surprised because our channel hadn't been going that long. And we were not used to this. We're not expecting that. But I'll say about one thing about Neeks. He's obviously a big United fan, and he's into his cricket as well. He's a big West Indies cricket fan. So have some pity for the guy. He's been suffering these last few years, really suffering.
We've been England in a series just gone, and we got the World Cup coming up. So I'm still optimistic that this year can still be prosperous.
Yeah. You said you got some tickets for some of the games.
About 6 West Indies games. So I'm going to be traveling, and none of them are in London. So I'm going to be traveling the whole country.
You're up to Manchester?
Yeah, one from Manchester. I think it's New Zealand.
Yeah, I got tickets for that game.
And I've got a couple in Nottingham and Taunton and Southampton. So
I'd like to go into a few more, but kids at school, I can't take the weekdays off. But the weekends, I'm looking forward to that West Indies game at Old Trafford.
Yeah.
And talking of Old Trafford, linked straight in. And I didn't even think about that beforehand. It's a massive game. Any derby is a massive game. People say form goes out the window, and this is a rearranged game. So it was one of those weekends where your guys had decided to retire from the FA Cup, I think. Or was it the Carabao Cup final? I can't remember. So you guys have done a lot of that this season. I'll take a few digs at you, but you've retired from a few games. So the way we're going to do it, we've got a few questions for each other, but we've also, we'll just let it. We'll go with the flow and see where it takes us. So I'm going to start you off, Neeks.
I wanted to say, obviously, you said it's a big derby, and all derbies are. And it's funny how the importance of the derby and all the narrative behind it has in the last 10 years. I would say 10 years ago, it was, as Ferguson put it, the noisy neighbours, trying to break down the door. And obviously under Fergie, it was difficult. And then Fergie went in 2013, and it's kind of been roles reversed. Even if the results have favoured City even previously to 2013.
Yeah.
So the emphasis going into each derby, you've been going for the title, we've been trying to get into the top 4. So it's just it's not good. It's not good, but it's interesting to see how it's swung around the last days.
It is interesting to see that we're almost at the end of David Moyes' contract.
Right. Finally, we can spend some money now that we don't have to pay him anymore.
All right, I'll start you off. We're talking about managers, so I've got to ask you: were you a Josie out boo boy? And are you a Ole Gunnar Solskjaer cheerleader?
First and foremost, I wanted Jose Mourinho to replace Sir Alex Ferguson. Always. Yeah. I think he would have been... No. I think at the time when Ferguson, 2013, wasn't Pep
at Bayern Munich.
It was a Bayern at the time. So it wasn't really in my radar about managing to come. So for me, it would have been the perfect guy at that time because he was still... you said top of his game.
Yeah.
Even though he ended at Real Madrid pretty sour, but he had won everything he won a trophy in every year that he was there. And he likes working with senior players. That Man United in 2013 was an experienced team.
Yeah.
Additionally, he's a very short-term manager, so he'll come in 2-3 years, win, move on. And I think that's what we needed. We needed someone to come in, win, 2-3 years, and move on, so we can get away from the Ferguson long-term 20 years. But because nobody's come in and been able to move the club forward properly, so I'm talking about winning major trophies, Premier League or Champions League, since Ferguson, we always revert back to it. When we talk about why this manager isn't succeeding, we're reverting back to what Ferguson did.
Yeah.
Mourinho wants to come in there and become successful. The next manager is not emulating or trying to replace Ferguson. They're just replacing Mourinho. It's a different picture. Mourinho came in 3 years too late, and probably at the time when he came in, it was probably the worst time.
Yeah.
Especially after what happened with at Chelsea, even though he did win the Premier League there. Now, it was a panic because we wanted, obviously, well, Alex Ferguson has spoken to Pep at some point. He went on sabbatical after Barcelona. Now, you lot got Pep Guardiola, so we needed to rival that statement, that manager. And if who better to rival him than his antagonist, Jose, the complete opposite. So it was a statement managerial signing, but I don't know if it was well thought through at the time. I've never been any manager out. I didn't sing David Moyes out. I didn't shout Louis van Gaal out, and I didn't do the same for Jose Mourinho. Jose Mourinho did need to go when he went. The time was up. But I don't jump on these so and so out bandwagons because they don't just exist they don't just come with the narrative of this manager needs to leave. There's a lot of other agendas that come with it, and a lot of the agendas that came with the Jose Mourinho out bandwagon was that it's all his fault. If he wasn't there, the players would be doing A, B, C. Because he's there, they're doing X, Y, Z. And I'm like, well, I agree he needs to move on, but he's not the reason why they're playing as bad as they are.
He's not the sole reason.
It's the sole reason, not the sole reason. So he can go, but that doesn't fix the problems. So I'm not going to be shouting Jose out because that, for me, that excuses the players. You shout Jose out, you have to shout some of the players out. You also have to shout Woodward out.
The disease runs deeper than the manager.
Of course it does. So I wanted Jose to succeed. I was happy when we got him because he's a great manager. That can never be taken away from him. The time for him was to go. And I'm fully behind Oli. Because he's a man. First of all, he's a Man United legend.
Yeah.
And the issues that existed under Jose Mourinho are starting to rear their head again. And I know for a fact, for me and many, if not the majority of Man United fans, we are backing Oli over the players. If Oli was to get sacked in exchange of like player power, so the players are like, we don't want to play for him, etc., then we go down a very, very dangerous spiral. A spiral where Chelsea are, where the players run the club and not the managers. Yeah. And I would hate for my club to go down that staircase, that direction. So I'm fully behind Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Whether he proves to be the right manager or not, for me, is neither here nor there. The fact is, he is the man in charge. So he is the one who we back over any player. The players at Manchester United, as far as I've been alive, are never bigger than the club. We've got bigger and better players than we've got now. Beckham, Stam, Keane, just to name three off the top of my head. And we moved on because the club is bigger. So I'm fully behind Solskjaer. The summer's gonna prove, or is gonna be very important. And probably the next 2 summer windows is gonna be very important. And it's up to him to prove whether he's the right man for the job. But whoever the manager is at Man United, I give them my full support. And who better than a Man United legend who understands?
He's not been a great manager, has he? Let's be honest.
Well, Cardiff, if you judge it on Cardiff
and Malmo or wherever he's played in Sweden or wherever he's played in Norway. He was
Mulder, so
Mulder, yeah,
against him. But yeah, he didn't have a good time at Cardiff.
He's brought the mold with him, hasn't he? That is in there at Man United. But I got to ask you, because obviously Ferguson, he was there a long time, 22 years, whatever it was. He won a lot of trophies. He dragged average players through. His final title-winning season was that team was full of bums. Half the team. Let's be honest.
I don't agree with that. I don't.
Well, all right. Maybe that's a bit harsh, but players who
weren't the best. We weren't the best. Yeah. Man for
but
man.
He dragged them through. He dragged them through, and they dragged themselves through as well. Give them credit. But do you think I'm trying to think of a polite word, but do you think the stench of Ferguson lingers around the place, or because he's still around, and he's still a hard act to follow, and it's almost 6 years on, and it does feel sometimes from the outside that his presence is there, and it's overbearing on some of the following managers, because they know they can't ever achieve what he's achieved, and the structures change with David Gill going as well, and it's a different Man United beast now.
Well, the thing is, for me, what was as big as at the time Ferguson leaving was the fact that David Gill left at the same time. So there was two key positions in the club to fill, and that was filled, one by David Moyes, who was always the wrong man for the job at the time. And I said it's always the wrong man.
He was the chosen one.
And that's where it went wrong. That's where it started. And then obviously Woodward, he didn't want David Moyes in the first place, but Ferguson kind of handpicked him. So he kind of had to give him that. As Ed Woodward, as a new chairman coming in. Now, if David Gill was there when Moyes came in, things may have taken a different turn. But because you have two new men in this position who had never been at a club of this size and this ambition and the philosophy that of Manchester United, it was a complete mess. And in reality, it's been a complete mess ever since. Now, I wouldn't put that down to as you put it, the stench of Ferguson, or even just the aura of Ferguson being around. I think for me that's a get out clause that none of the managers, to be fair, have used. To be fair on them, but equally, even if they felt it, they wouldn't dare say it. So you couldn't take their word as gospel. But these are experienced managers. Louis van Gaal, Jose Mourinho, just managed at Real Madrid, where the president, whoever the president is, obviously Florentino Perez at the time, he probably had a bigger influence on Real Madrid than Ferguson does in his retirement over Manchester United. But even under those circumstances, granted, it's a brilliant team that was there, he was able to sort of topple that great Barcelona side. So he wouldn't dare use that as an excuse. And I think, for me, that would be an easy get-out clause for any manager that has tried and failed since Ferguson.
Yeah. All right. You got a question for me, mate? Go on.
I do. Obviously, this is title race. This would be your fourth. If you were to win it this year, would be your fourth
Premier League. We've already obviously won a couple of first divisions as they were back in '37 and was it '68.
It would be your fourth. And it's never been defended since Man United.
Since you guys,
or 9, but 98 points is your maximum possible. Yeah. Liverpool's is 97. If for some reason you were to end on 96, 1 point behind Liverpool, would second place, bearing in mind you won the Premier League last year, would second place be considered a failure for Man City and Pep Guardiola this season?
In all honesty, whichever team finishes second this season is probably going to get such a haul of points that would normally win the title. Yeah. If we get 98, they get 97. 97 is enough to win the league. Any other season apart from last season. Yeah. If we end up with 96, that's still the most number of points to win. I think the previous record was Chelsea with 95. And it's a very tough call between, which is a great achievement. The 100 points last season, well, obviously no one's ever done that before. You can talk about your invincibles and your treble-winning teams. And yes, this team hasn't won a treble, and it wasn't invincible. But those two sides have never got 100 points. They've never been Centurions, and they were not even close to being Centurions. But to retain the title would be a magnificent feat. Last season, let's be honest, by Christmas, it was over.
Yeah. Well, after that, pretty much for me, the derby at Old Trafford, that was it.
It was pretty much over. This season, it's been a fight all the way down the line. For City, we've obviously been fighting on 4 fronts. won one competition, the Carabao Cup, in the final of the FA Cup. Sadly got chiseled out of it by Spurs.
Sorry, sad for who?
For City, we got chiseled out of it by Spurs. I know you guys are loving it all day long. I'll let you laugh. We spent the last few seasons laughing, so maybe you get your own back a little bit. But we've been to be fighting on all these fronts for so long, to get into April having a chance to still win all the trophies that were on offer to us is remarkable. Was remarkable. I mean, last season we didn't lose many games.
No.
In the league, in the obviously the FA Cup was a bit of a shocker, and the Champions League to lose that many, and we've not lost that many games this season overall, although a few more in the league. So it's very tough call to say what is the better achievement, because last year, as I said, the pressure was up. This year, the pressure's been there all the time, and I wouldn't be able to. I'd have to sit on the fence, to be honest. I mean, last season was amazing. What we did this season, if we win it, it'll feel amazing in a different way.
If you come second, does that?
It's not failure. It's not failure.
But then, so you're saying that if you end up with obviously 97 points, for example, 96 points.
Yeah.
Let's say a League Cup and there's no way that going into the season, the Sheikh said to Pep, "Yeah, League Cup, FA Cup, or finals, that's fine. We're good with that."
I wouldn't look at it as a failure. If look, I'm old school City. I went through over 30 years. We won nothing.
Yeah, but it's the new city. You didn't have the million.
Yes, it might be the new city, but you're still grateful. We're still not arrogant, and not too many City fans, especially the old school fans, are not arrogant and what's the right word? Not delusional or feeling that we deserve something for nothing. We're not entitled. That's the word. We don't feel entitled to winning the title.
Like Liverpool do.
Sorry?
Like Liverpool do.
Oh, they're entitled, man. They're entitled to everything,
Haven't won the Premier League.
Yeah, I mean, last year they tried to take our bus. They want to take on everything. But, so, finishing second, it's still, if we get 96 points, it's still a huge achievement. It's still, that points haul is an achievement. Yes, you don't get a trophy for a points haul for coming second. Failure, I think if we win the FA Cup as well, we'd be disappointed. I wouldn't consider it a failure. I'd be very disappointed because, I think we could have done better in the Champions League and the league. But you've got no divine right, no God-given right to win stuff all the way through. And I've said many times, we had some luck last season to get us to 100 points, last-minute goals. This season,
even the last game of the season, that was a last-minute goal from Jesus.
Exactly. So now this season, Liverpool have had an absolute shed load of luck. Poor late goals. Poor Mo Salah's been kicked about in the penalty area. Poor guy, he's got so many penalties because these brutes of defenders. Once they get within a couple of yards of him, some of them, I reckon, was it David Luiz the other week at Chelsea, or one of the Chelsea defenders who he must have been eating garlic or something, because Mo Salah went down. He was a couple of yards away from him, So
you see where I stand on it. I think when it comes to because the Centurions, the name is being given.
Yeah,
it's a brilliant achievement to get 100 points, but in reality, it's 100 points. This season, if you end on 98, it's just 2 points less.
Yeah.
So 100 is just a number that seems.
No. But what I'll say is, if we get 98 points and win the league, obviously, then I think this is probably a better achievement.
I think 100%, because the reason I said, because 100 points is good. It's brilliant, to be fair.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't, for argument's sake, if we say that City team is the best Premier League team of all time, or that was the best season, I would then say that Conte's Chelsea was the second best because they got 95. I would put a Man United 01. I would put Arsenal. So for me, the points tally is it's good, but for me, there's more to it. When you're chasing someone,
yeah, that's why I say if we win the league this season, it's a better achievement. Whereas last season, I think that for me, and this is trying to be as objective as possible. I think that was the best Premier League season ever, in terms of points, in terms of goals, in terms of start, everything else. This season, if we win, the achievement will be greater because we've had to fight every single step of the way. We've had somebody way ahead that we've had to drag back. And if we can finish off with some more wins and finish the season with 98 points, I think that's a greater achievement. If we end up with 96 and finish second, is it a failure? I class it as a disappointment, but we've still ended up with the third highest points haul ever, and that's still a huge achievement. So, no, I mean, I'm not going to class it as a success. I'll class it as a disappointment because winning the trophy is where the success is. Yeah. For you guys getting into top four, that's where your success is.
Oh, we'll get onto that.
That's gonna lead into my next question because look, man. Okay, at the weekend you were humbled. Really humbled by Everton 4-0. And in all honesty, and I only saw a few of the highlights, that could have been a few more than 4.
Well, we only had one shot on target. Yeah. It came late in the game, so
they could have got 6 or 7 goals.
Yeah.
So what's gone wrong this season, and will you make top 4? I'll bump the 2 questions together.
What's gone wrong this season? Well, I think what's happened this season is a culmination of everything that's gone wrong, you could say, since 2013. And it's really just come to a head. And when you actually think about it, if we're going to be honest, we say what's gone wrong this season, but the first season under David Moyes, that we finished 7th. The second season under LVG, we finished 5th. The first season under Jose, we won the Europa League, but we finished 6th. So us being in this position is not something new, if you actually want to think so.
You've been crap for a while. That's what you're trying to say.
The manager being, we've been crap.
7th, 6th, 5th.
That's below our standards. Some clubs say 4th is a trophy. We just want to go to the Champions League. For me, that is the bare minimum. Yeah. Talk about qualifying for the Champions League. That is an Arsene Wenger thing. Arsene Wenger and Sky Sports.
Yeah. I mean, Arsenal now happy to get the. It's going to get to the stage with Arsenal that they're happy to get the Europa League.
But when we won the Europa League, it was like, all right, we're in the competition, so we want to win it. But it was when we won it, it was more like relief that we didn't get embarrassed and lose to Ajax in the final more than anything else. For me, for a club of our size and what I've grown up on, challenging for top 4, that is in itself an embarrassment.
Yeah.
Us getting 4 is no reason for me to celebrate. It's not a target. It's nothing of the sort. I don't go into any season like, let's just aim to get into the top 4. No. I'm talking, we need to be aiming to get top 2. Whether or not we're good enough to win the league or challenge for the league is one thing. But that's where our aims need to be every season. And we do what we need to do in the summer to get there. Now, as I said, what's gone wrong this year, I think is a culmination of, it's a build-up of everything that's happened in the last 5-6 years. And now what we're seeing is what's, for me, been more than overdue is that players are being found out by lacking the quality to play for Man United or lacking the mentality, which in some cases is worse than the quality. If a player's not good, there's nothing they can do about that. When you ain't got the mentality, that's all you. That's all you. If you're not deciding to close down, run back, get up the pitch, etc., do what the manager says. Even if the manager, you think the tactics might be boring, it might be defensive, it might be this. You do what your manager tells you to do. And that's being exposed now. So will we get top 4? Honestly, I don't think so. I don't think we're going to get top 4. But that's the least of my worries. If we miss out on top 4, cool. If we get in top 4, we're not going to win the Champions League anyway. So there's nothing to celebrate. For me, the most important thing is what happens this summer. Yes. What players we are left with and what players we purchase by the end of the transfer window. If we get top 4, good. Maybe we can get a couple more players that we might not have been able to get within top 4. But a club of our size, as we proved with someone like Pogba, when Barcelona wanted him, I think Real Madrid may have wanted him at the time, but definitely Barcelona. A club of our size can sort of track players when we're out of the Champions League.
Look, you wave the dollars at him, and look, come on, let's be honest.
Yeah.
On a huge amount. His agent got an absolute shed load of
which Juventus paid, to be fair. So I don't really care what he.
Yeah. It was big money everywhere.
But even that whole wage structure at our club needs to change as well.
Yeah.
We've got Sanchez on 450,000 a week, and that has thrown everything out of kilter. So every player now, whether it's De Gea, Pogba, I think Pogba's done in a new contract right now, but De Gea, Rashford, obviously Martial got his new one not too long ago. I'm the best player in my position. You've got this guy on 400,000 a week who can barely get off the bench. I want to be earning what he's earning. We need to say, and Solskjaer, and if we get a director of football in and Ed Woodward, we need to say, this is what we, as Manchester United, value you. We're going to offer you this. If you don't want it, get out.
Yeah.
I mean, stay, sign a contract. It's as simple as. The players can't holding us around.
Look at the problem, obviously, paying that sort of money has caused, because you're paying Sanchez somewhere in the region of 23, 25 million a year.
Yeah.
Okay. And you got someone like De Gea who comes along and says, well, I'm on 250 grand a week. You know, I'm suffering, man. I'm suffering. 250 grand a week. What's that? And he turns around and says, well, I want 400. And suddenly you think, well, that's cost you 7.5, 8 million quid just there and then.
Yeah.
And if, you know, Pogba says, well, I'm on 300, but I want another 150.
Yeah.
That's 50. And you'll have 3 or 4 other players who will say, I want a little bit more because, hey, you know, I'm not a bad player. And, you know, like, someone might turn around and say, well, I'm playing in the first team week in, week out as a striker, let's say Martial or Rashford or whatever. And you got Sanchez who's bumming about on the bench. He can't even get in the team.
Solskjaer really needs to draw a line under
that. You have to. Otherwise,
we can't.
You can end up. You could end up, honestly, paying an extra 20 to 30 million a year because everybody's up in arms about it. Yeah. Any new player you get is going to turn around and say, well, you're paying that man 450 grand a week. You haven't got Champions League football.
Yeah.
I think I need £400,000 a week, please. Yeah. And, you know, you that's just blown your wage structure.
But what I will say, and it's a bitter pill to swallow, but Solskjaer needs to have a look at Jurgen Klopp and see what he did when he went to Liverpool to where they are now. Liverpool have, other than this season, or you say 2018, they didn't make any major signings in terms of 50 million plus. They bought Salah for 35, yeah. But they bought Firmino for 30. They bought Mane for, I think, about 30 as well. And they bought, you know, the likes of Robertson, and now them.
Cheap money.
Solskjaer needs to target certain players, types of players that he wants, and they don't have to be the names that's in the media, the big names. You can get a team to challenge with quality players. They don't have to all be world class.
You mentioned Liverpool, and you look what they've got in defence, where they got Robertson, and he cost from Hull, was it 8 million?
Yeah.
Yeah. You've got Gomez from Charlton or Palace?
Charlton.
And then you've got you know, you got a very cheap 3 that would get into a lot of first teams in the Premier League. So it's possible to get good players on the cheap. And I think the issue, as I said, is your wage bill is going up. You're going to have to spend more money. Not getting the Champions League is going to hit you in the pocket, you know, tens of millions. Man United's pockets are deeper.
We can cope. We can cope with that.
I think you can cope for a season, not for 2 seasons. I think my feeling is if you don't get there for 2 seasons, well, first of all, Adidas say, well, we want 15 million quid back. Yeah. That hurts you.
However, if I'm correct, some of our wages will drop for the players.
You need it.
If they don't get in the Champions League.
But the players are going to turn around and say, stuff you, you know, you're not dropping my wages. I want more money to make up for you underperforming and not getting the Champions League. It's your fault we're not there. I'm off. I'm out, Ski. I'm out of here.
Oh, get out! Listen,
That's probably what you need.
no player. If there's a player who says, "I'm only here if you pay me that," then good riddance. Because you don't want to play for the club, you're playing for the money, and that tells me everything I need to know.
Why did Pogba come back? He didn't want to play for the club. In my opinion, it's the money was the driving force for Paul Pogba.
It may well be. I don't know. He was at Juventus. The reality is, Serie A is not the league it used to be. So for me, any move to La Liga or the Premier League, whether it was Man City, Barcelona, Real Madrid, would be a progress in his career. So I think he wanted to go Barca. Barca weren't willing to pay what Juve wanted. So he was like, well, let me go Man United. Because
sloppy seconds.
But it's still listen, everyone's sloppy seconds to Barcelona, Real Madrid, isn't it? So it's still a move. It's still a step forward from playing in Serie A. If he wants to move on to Barca or Real Madrid again, if he's not willing to play for the club, whether it's him, whether it's De Gea, I don't care how good you are. You want to play for the club or you don't, and you get rid. And that's what I'm hoping, and that's what I'm confident that Solskjaer will do it in this summer. So Champions League or no Champions League, it makes little difference to how I feel about a lot of the players.
Okay. Have you got another question for me then?
Yeah, we're talking about Champions League. Pep Guardiola. Now, his last Champions League was 2011.
Yeah.
With Barcelona. He's gone to Bayern Munich since. Got to, I think, 2 semi-finals. Didn't get to a final.
In them, didn't he?
Say that again?
They got pumped in the semi-final, didn't they? Yeah.
By I think Real Madrid.
Yeah.
But by Barcelona themselves, actually. And then he's come to Man City on the back of Pellegrini getting to the furthest to the semi-finals.
Yes.
In 2016? Yeah, I think it was 2016. He's been knocked out in the quarterfinal. Last 16, quarterfinals, 3 years. Does he need to win a Champions League without Messi to prove or to show that he's not just, you could say, a bit of a one-trick pony?
I knew it. All right, yeah.
For argument's sake, because you compare to people like Jose Mourinho, who's won it with Porto and Inter Milan. You compare to people like Alex Ferguson, who's built team after team after team and won Champions League. He's won it with Messi and never got to a final since.
All right.
Spending all the money that he has. Surely he's still winning.
I think we're getting, I'm clutching at straws. I think we're getting closer. So we got knocked out in the round of 16 against Monaco.
Yeah.
And we let 6 goals in.
Yeah.
6. I said in the first tie, we had a chance to make it 6-3, and we should have done. But we didn't. It's kind of like we were riding on a crest of a wave, and it didn't matter that we didn't get that 6th goal because 5-3 should have been enough. But yeah, we let in 6 goals over 2 legs. Next season, we got battered by Liverpool on aggregate 5-1 in the quarterfinals. So we let in 5 goals over 2 legs. This year, we got to the quarterfinals and we got knocked out on away goals. And we let in 4 goals. So we're getting closer and closer and closer. And with Pep going to be here for another 2 or 3 years, surely.
Well, surely you'll get to semis.
I'm a mathematician. I can see the progress. I can see where this is headed. But in all reality, look, I think Pep, quite a few of us older fans have thought Pep's just overthought this. He's not beyond criticism. Against Monaco, we were too open. We were winning 5-3, and I could see if we scored a goal at their place, it was probably over, an early goal, and maybe that's what Pep was looking for. But we needed to be tighter, to be more pragmatic, and because they needed 2 goals. Yeah. That's not an easy thing to do. So we should have been tighter. Against Liverpool, it's a bit of both. We were hammered in that first 30 minutes. We were poor in that first 30 minutes, and that was the tie almost over. And I think it was a testament to City, actually, that we came back and we almost pulled it round. We can talk about the dodgy refereeing decisions and whatever. They did play a huge part. So we were getting better. Spurs, once again, that away leg, we should have been going for an away goal. You know, I would have been happier to lose 2-1.
Because in both the Liverpool and Monaco games, he attacked in the away leg. One was second, one was.
And he didn't need to. Yeah,
he didn't need to, but he attacked and got knocked out. Pretty much the time was over because of that away leg. This one, it seemed like he went complete the opposite.
He went too far.
Let's just take a draw. And I'm like, all right, it happened against Liverpool. Look at their front three. It happened against Monaco, Mbappe, Falcao, you know, that team, Mendy, etc. You are far superior to Tottenham.
That's what frustrated us.
De Bruyne, your best player, your most critical player.
We've been battered. The thing is, I mean, I said at the time and afterwards, many times I said, we went in with 3 players who were too defensive. Delph, it doesn't offer a lot going forwards. Gundogan and Fernandinho playing together. That was wrong. And having Silva as well. We've said many times on our channel that having David Silva, Fernandinho, and Ilkay Gundogan playing together, we've got no legs. We've got no pace. We need somebody else there. And to have Mahrez on the wing, he might as well have been a defender for what he offered us going forwards. And I said we needed one of those players, preferably midfield or wing, to be a much more attacking threat. In my opinion, we should have either, excuse me, I mean, Bernardo Silva was injured. So that was taken out of Pep's hand. And I think if he was not injured, Mahrez would not have played. Bernardo would be on the right, Sterling on the left. We needed either KDB or Sane to cause a bigger threat to Spurs. And I don't think it would have negated too much our defensive mindset. But we were ultra defensive, and Spurs were there for the taking. They were not, coming up with. They were relying on the break. And one great thing about City teams generally going forwards, because we have a lot of the ball, because we are so dangerous going forwards, creating chances, teams are reluctant to commit too many men forward too early. When they haven't got the ball, they've got 10 men behind the ball, and a striker usually stood 20, 30 yards away on his own. So we played that bad.
The moment you don't get the away goal, then it gives Spurs always a chance in that away leg, and they were more than happy to keep going forward in the second leg, because they know if we get one, you need to get 2.
Yes.
So and I think again, the not getting the away goal, even if you were to lose that game 2-1 or arguably even 3-1, any away goal scored.
The 2-1 would have suited me. The 2-1, because I said we'd beat them at home. I was sure of that.
I believe so as well.
The worry for me is Pep surrounded by yes men? Because sometimes you need someone. It happens in sport where people are surrounded by yes men who will, whether it's I don't want to lose my job by arguing with the boss, or whether you try and keep him happy for whatever reason. And look, I'll say Pep's a genius, but even geniuses get things wrong. And in the Champions League, he's got it wrong.
He's got 2 Champions League, but one of them he shouldn't even have, because that 2009 was an absolute travesty.
I totally agree. Chelsea
as you said earlier, Chelsea definitely should have. They were hard done by. But as you said, he's not exempt from criticism, which is good to hear, because no manager and no person is in general.
Where there's a line where you don't go around abusing people, and it's all right to criticize. We're not happy clappers. We're not negative all the time or positive all the time, and don't want criticism about our club. If there's something, you've got to be objective in life and try to be fair with whatever comments you're making. And I don't think Pep got it right. And
Pep said, I think it was before the second leg, he said he wasn't brought in to win the Champions League. Yes or no, do you believe that statement?
Sheikh Mansour would want to win the Champions League. I'll say that. But and I'll also say he's the owner of Man City, but he doesn't really get involved. I don't believe that. I think they are polite to him and say he knows a lot. He might know a lot, but I think it's more of the management. You've got Khaldoon Al Mubarak and other people who, I'll put it this way. I think Pep was brought in to change the style, the DNA of the club from top to bottom. We've seen that. If you've seen the video recently of City's under-12s playing in, I think it was a tournament in America against Dortmund. It was last year or something. Under-12s. And it was pass it out from the back, play it out. And there was one kid there. People thought it was Yaya Toure with a dodgy birth certificate because he was that much bigger than the others, and he was that much better than the others, and faster and stronger and everything else, and so much taller. So I think the idea is, if you change the DNA, if you get the players to play in the way Barcelona used to play, if you get that, then success will follow, and you will get to the ultimate prize, which is, you can argue, retaining the Premier League and getting a Champions League. So whether he was brought in directly, want you to win the Champions League, or whether I'm hoping it was more like, we want you to change the way we play football. We want you to make us consistently very good, easy on the eye, scoring lots of goals. And the end product of all that is you'll win lots of trophies and you'll win the coveted ones. So, it's hard to say exactly where it was, because then what would happen if Pep wins the Champions League? Would he disappear? He's here for a couple more years at least. So I don't think so. And we're talking about, I'm going to switch it onto teams now. I want to ask you a question. Honestly, I'm going to put you on the spot. How many United players would get into this City team? And I've got a sub question to that as well. But that's the first point. How many United players would get into this team?
Lukaku over Aguero.
I'll tell you what, mate. At least with all these pacings you've been getting, you've kept your sense of humour.
If we were to base it solely on this season, I would say 1, Pogba in your midfield 3. I would. David Silva's not the same player he always was. And then if we want to go by the whole season, De Bruyne haven't even been here the whole season. So
De Bruyne still gets in, even though he's played about 8 games.
I'm saying, if we're just basing it on like how the season's gone, then for me, I would put Pogba in. But if we're talking about quality,
in place of who?
Well, I'll probably say David Silva.
See, it all depends who you talk to and what you've seen. A lot of City fans feel he's been overplayed. He's getting to that stage where he
started well, but he's
up to Christmas he was great. Ever since he's grown his hair back, he's not been as good.
And it's the other way around. If you cut your hair,
he's contrary. But
I would
overall, he's had a decent season. Overall, you talk about Pogba.
Pogba's had a good season as well, but it's because we've been so bad, and because he's our star player, everyone expects more from him. You need to kind of drag your team. If we're just talking about quality, what he's produced, goals and assists, created chances, even if our striker line would not put them away. We're just talking about that. Pogba's a quality, and he's had a good season. If we're just talking about that individually,
I'll give you a stat. Here. And we did a podcast earlier today, and one of our stalwarts said that a certain City player should be sacked off. We should sell him, get rid of him, because he's only got 4. He's got 4 fewer assists than Paul Pogba in the Premier League.
Who's that?
Ben Mendy. Mendy's
a beast. I tell you,
Mendy's got 5 assists. Pogba's got, was it 9? Mendy's played 10 games and he's a fullback.
Mendy's a beast, because if you compare Mendy to, you look at all like I think they used I saw a stat with all the fullbacks, the best assists, and you got like Robertson on 8, Trent Alexander on 8, Mendy on you said 5 or 6.
He's on 5,
and he's played like 4 games all season. But like Mendy's when he plays for Man City, because a lot of the time Sane doesn't play, so he's pretty much like your left winger, because he's always on the overlap. So yeah, cool, I understand that. But the difference is he's crossing to Aguero. Who's Pogba passing to? Lukaku. So How much chances are they creating as well? That's what we got to look at. But
hey, but look how short Aguero is. Look how short Bernardo Silva is. David Silva, Raheem Sterling. They're all 5'7", man.
Aguero's the best striker in the world. So I would if Pogba was behind Aguero, he would have had some of the assists.
I'll disagree with you about Pogba. I'll make the question easier for you. I'll make it easier for you.
One more. I would say we're just talking about like ability. David De Gea. This season
doesn't fit into the system. Doesn't fit into the system. He's not been that great this season.
No,
Look at me.
But that's what I'm saying. Are we saying this season or ability? Because this season he has a great season. But then even this season, my man's pulled out games and saves that keepers will only dream of.
Yeah, but he doesn't fit the system. I mean, Edison is not the best.
Okay, because it's in a Pep Guardiola system.
Yeah. Okay. But I'll make the question easier because obviously that was too difficult. How many of this current United players would get into the Man City squad?
Oh, we don't. We'll get a lot. You're taking a mic now.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't give you Pogba. I'll give you that now. If I was to take your last season or the season before, I might have taken Martial. I thought he looked very promising, but he's not doing the business. Rashford last season or the season before, I don't think he's pushed on for whatever reason. He still looks exciting. Yeah. He's an exciting talent. He's 21 years old, 22 years old. He's young.
Yeah.
He's got the potential, and I think he's still got that to deliver. After that, I really am struggling, honestly. I mean,
well, for me, because if we're talking about how these players have played this season, then obviously one is first, or near enough first in the league. The other's sixth. So player for player, it would be hard. But then if we're just talking about ability, John Stones, for example, he's not in the first team consistently right now, but he started the season. He went Laporte as the first choice for a long time. As an individual, he's no better than Victor Lindelof. As an individual, does their ability, but one is playing in a team that's actually winning, playing with players around him, playing with a better manager, etc., etc. So they look better. But we're just talking man for man. Like if Stones gets in the team or in the squad, then Lindelof definitely gets in the squad. Now, I'm not having Jones or Smalling nowhere near.
I can't believe you're giving those guys new contracts. I mean, that defies belief.
Listen, I said the summer, innit? We have the summer. That's all I can say, innit? The summer.
Okay, we chatted enough about the demise or nearabouts of Man United over the last few years. Let's get back onto the derby. Obviously, that's.
But let me ask you. You've got a player. You mentioned, Bernardo Silva. You mentioned Mahrez earlier. Martial, Rashford. One Englishman you've got is Raheem Sterling, who is having an absolutely phenomenal season. He had a great season last year.
Yeah.
I think Sane won the Young Player of the Year award, didn't he, last season? Fair enough, because I think he had
it was very, very close between the two.
I think Sterling had a lot of clutch moments, last minute winners, Bournemouth.
I think Sterling got a lot of goals. Sane, right at the death of the season, got a lot of assists, and he looks more exciting than Sterling.
Well, this season Sterling is up for both the Young Player and Player of the Year awards, which he fully deserves to be nominated at least. Do you think he will win it ahead of Van Dijk? And as I ride into that question, how come no City players actually won a PFA Player of the Year award?
How come
no City players won the PFA Player of the Year award, yet you've won 3 trophies
in the last
years?
7 years, yeah. We won under Pellegrini, we won the league title and we won the Carabao Cup. Pep's done the same, league title, Carabao Cup. Will he win it? I think the fact that he's been nominated for the Young Player makes me feel he's going to get the Young Player award. It makes it an easy get out to give him the Young Player award. I feel it's going to go to Van Dijk, probably because you've got the narrative and the agenda. Players are not all clever people. They're not like Vincent Kompany with an MBA from Manchester University and can speak 5 or 7 languages and whatever. some players, for want of a better word, are thick. And they can follow the narrative and the agenda from the media as well. So I think there's a combination of things. So there's a combination of listening to the media, telling everybody that Van Dijk is the best and he deserves it, and he's the man, he's the best. He's suddenly become the best in the world almost overnight. He wasn't the best at Southampton in the world, but suddenly at Liverpool he's the best in the world in the space of 12 months. I'm not buying. I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that. He's good, but he's overhyped, in my opinion. And people, especially Liverpool fans, want to ignore his mistakes. You know, when he was in an international game, he showed somebody onto his right foot, which was his strong foot. Gnabry, that's it. I remember I had a laugh with you guys. There's some guys about Gnabry. And so, you know, people want to ignore his mistakes. They want to gloss over them. And so, as I said, the combination of the media agenda and the fact that play fans, you know, you've got people like, for example, the Cardiff captain, and you know, he said he wants Liverpool to win the league. You know, and he missed that open. I mean, it's so bad with some of these people. He misses an open goal. I mean, he could have dived backwards and hit it with his backside. It would have gone in. I don't know how he could have missed that. And then he manhandles
defensive header. Looked like
yeah. And then he manhandles Salah to the floor to make sure they get a penalty. It's pathetic. So I think you've got that. Some players support Liverpool, and the media are pushing Van Dijk as this messiah, this wonder, you know, demigod of a defender, when I think he's just a very, very good defender. And I'll repeat, he's not got so good in the last 12 months that he's gone from Southampton, where nobody was saying he's the best in the world, and now suddenly 12 months later he's the best in the world. I don't buy that.
We've heard like he's the best defender since like Rio Ferdinand. We've heard, and I'm like, well, there's been a lot of defenders since Rio Ferdinand. Sergio Ramos, who Liverpool fans hate because he's a winner. But I'm like, This guy's won Champions League. He's scored in finals. He's captained his country. He's captained his club. And all of a sudden, because he injured Salah, and gets a few yellow cards, he's no longer.
Yeah, I mean, they forget about Company, who was up there amongst the best in the world. It's hard to say who's the best. Yeah. You know, it's easy with the strikers.
As you said, he's among the best.
Yeah.
Liverpool game, the best.
Oh yeah.
Now, 100%.
Liverpool. That's Liverpool for you.
And second, he's the first and second best.
His left foot is the first best. His right foot is the second best. But so for those reasons, I think Van Dijk will get it. Even though some people argue that what Sterling has had to carry on his shoulders has been it's got to be a burden. But he doesn't take it as a burden. It's funny. I mean, you know, I would suspect in your life you've been subjected to some racism from time to time, and when Raheem Sterling, and I certainly have, and when Raheem Sterling says he's disappointed when he gets racism, you know, racist abuse, I mean, I find that, I mean, I couldn't be as calm and as he is about that. I mean, it's half the time I just ignore it. Half the time you get really brassed off with it. So he's had to carry a lot of weight on his shoulders from the abuse from the media, the abuse from fans, you know, being attacked in the street, abuse to his family. Although that's nothing to do with football, in terms of, you know, the awards are based on what you do on the pitch, but all that narrative behind him, you know, and I actually think if a lot of the voting's been done already, hasn't it?
Yeah,
I believe. So
it's wrong that they do it so early.
Yeah,
I think the team that wins the Premier League, a player there should. I won't say they should win it, but that needs to be accounted for. If you do it in April, then you don't know. It's whoever's on form at that period.
They were voting in February and March, weren't they?
I know they definitely used to be that early. I don't know if they pushed it.
You know, I mean, I think Raheem said he did his a month ago or whatever. And he couldn't remember who he voted for. But
Canaan,
Yeah, then he said Kane. But the thing is, it is too early. And someone asked me who should we. I said, well, we've got 7 or 8 league games left this season, and it really depends. If Sterling bangs in a couple of hat tricks,
Yeah.
then he's going to get it. If Aguero bangs in 3 hat tricks, then why shouldn't Aguero get it? Because he would have scored. He scored, I think, 2 hat tricks this season in the league, and if he scored another 2 hat tricks, come on, that's an amazing feat. Where I think the top hat trick guy's got 10 or 11, and if you can bang in 4 in a season, surely you've got to be right up there. So, but I don't think Sterling will get it. It'll go to I expect it to go to Van Dijk. I expect Sterling to finish second, pick up the award for the young player of the season. Even though it's quite funny, Leroy Sané, it feels like he hasn't played that many games, but he's played almost the same number of games as last season, and he's got almost the same number of goals and assists. I think last season he had a ridiculous amount of assists. I think he got 15, or was it Kev with 15 and Sane with 13 or something. But he came up right at the end with quite a few assists. But I just want Sterling to keep progressing, because if he can do a little bit better next season, there's yes, he still makes mistakes. He's still got things to improve upon, but he's 23, 24 years old. So he's still got time on his hand. I want to imagine a Raheem Sterling in 2 or 3 years' time, when he gets 5 chances, he puts 3 or 4 away, rather than getting 5 chances and putting 2 away.
In the red Manchester, I know, yeah.
Yeah. But if Raheem can do that, if he can up his actual finishing, he'll be knocking on the door with the numbers. I don't think he'll get as high as the numbers that Messi and Ronaldo were producing, where they were scoring better than a goal a game. But I firmly believe Raheem Sterling should be getting 30 goals a season. He is that good. It just needs a little bit more consistency. I'll get back to my question about the derby then. Do you want United to beat City? This is the question that a lot of United fans have been asked. Do you want United to beat City, and who do you want to win the league?
Well, listen, I need to make this clear. I need to make it very, very clear. Sometimes one Man United fan will say something and it gets, labelled for all Man United fans, etc. So I had to make it clear. I don't support Man City. I don't support Liverpool. I support Manchester United. So that's the first thing. Now, when it was in the Champions League, I would have hated Man City to win that more than I would have hated Liverpool to win it, because Liverpool have 5 already.
Yes.
It's be a 6th. Both of them are our rivals. Of course, Liverpool are our biggest ones, but Man City have 0 Champions Leagues. So for them to get there first, especially in the era of dominance that they're in now, would have been a bigger, you could say, dagger to Manchester United fans. You replicate that for the league, it's the same thing. Man City in this era, typically Premier Leagues. Liverpool, who are our biggest historical rivals, haven't won the league title in 29 years, hopefully going on longer, and have never won the Premier League since it began in 1992. So again, that would be a bigger dagger to Manchester United fans if Liverpool won the league. So it's not a case of who do I want to win the league other than Manchester United. It's a case of who I least prefer. And I would least prefer Liverpool over any other team to win the league. Because of that historical rivalry. And also, their fans are unbearable. And because it's not just Man United fans who don't want Liverpool to win the league. Arsenal fans don't want it. Spurs fans don't want it. There's very a small minority, if any, in terms of group of fans. Fans. But if you say Newcastle fans, Watford fans, as a group, I haven't heard a majority group of fans say they would want Liverpool to win the league. Man United, Everton, 100% not. And everyone else, they're unbearable.
Exactly.
Want Liverpool to win the league. So the answer to the question is anyone but Liverpool. Who's in the title race this season? It happens to be Man City. So in this case, I would prefer if Man City won the league ahead of Liverpool. In terms of the derby, I can never go into a match with Manchester United not wanting us to win, especially on the back of what happened on Sunday. If we had won that game on Sunday, this game wouldn't even be as big, even in terms of the race for top. Because everyone else dropped points on the weekend. This is our game in hand. Then we've got Chelsea on Sunday. So if we were to win, all the games around, not including the Man City games, then top 4 is still well within our, especially with Arsenal's bad away form. Because of that defeat now, we're actually in a position where we might have to say, you know what, we just need to think about ourselves. Like, forget that for a second. That was an embarrassment on Sunday. You embarrass the club. You embarrass yourself.
It's got to be a...
And there has to be a reaction. Honestly, I don't think we're good enough to beat Man City. Even, as I said earlier in the podcast, the latter stages or the latter stages of Fergie or the early stages since he left, we were struggling to beat you anyway. We'd won some games at Etihad, Van Persie, for example. I remember that one. Last season, of course, we won as well. But games, even in our title-winning season at Old Trafford, Benjani for one, that one. There was in the 2013 season, I think we won that game 2-1 as well. I think Aguero scored a decent goal from a tight angle. And in the last season, you beat us at Old Trafford. We haven't had a good record against you at Old Trafford in a while. So I'm not expecting us to win. For me, as I said earlier, the top 4 is a bit. I don't think we're going to get it. I would like to get it, but it's not the be all and end all. What I want to see in this game more than anything is a reaction. So performance from Sunday. If we end up losing 2-0, 2-1, 3-1, I want to see we lost because they were better than us. Not because they tried more like Everton did. Everton, man for man, are better than us. If Man City beat us, it's because they were better than us on the night. But no way can I go into a Man United game and support the opposition. Even if my head is saying Man City need to win, my heart, I couldn't sit there and celebrate an Aguero goal against Man United, for example.
But it's interesting, to know that. I mean, I was flying back from France on Sunday and came into Manchester Airport, and the fella on the border control was a Scouser. So I insulted him by calling him a Liverpool fan, even though he was an Everton fan. He was really insulted. But at that time, Everton were winning 2-0 against United, and he wasn't happy. He wasn't happy because he said, no, I don't want to. I want United to win this game so that they lose to City, and that Liverpool don't win the title. I mean, that's how bad it was. And when
for the permutations,
yeah.
And there was an issue when Man City played Everton recently, and there was a question: do Everton fans want to win or not? They lost the game 2-0. But I think the most important thing for them, when I listened to the different calling shows after, was we performed. We didn't roll over and die.
Yeah.
And me at this position, I'm just I want to see who's fit to wear the shirt. Forget the result. Who is fit to wear the shirt?
If we beat you 4-0, just giving a hypothetical result, but you work hard and you give it everything, would you take that?
I'll be happier than I was on Sunday. Can't be happy losing the derby full stop, let alone losing it 4-0. But what I'll be able to see is who is fit to wear the shirt mentally. Ability-wise, you might have people like Ashley Young who try hard, but they're not good enough, so they need to go.
Yeah,
what I don't accept is people, for example, like Rashford or Martial, who got the ability, but they don't. But they for whatever reason, they're not trying hard in that game or in that period, whatever. So I'm not going to be happy with a 4-0. I'm not going to be happy with any loss, but I'm not going in there expecting a win. People said, "Oh, are Man United gonna, let City win?" I don't even think we're in a position that we can let City win. City are better than us. If City wants
to win,
they will win, and that's a sad reality. But I have to say, Liverpool fans, Liverpool, to paraphrase my boy, have hope. When Man City played Chelsea, all the Liverpool fans were cussing Hazard before. And then for that game, they asked Hazard, you need to turn up. And of course, Chelsea got battered 6-0. Pogba has got it from all the Liverpool fans all season. But now they want him to turn up. Now they want the cheek of them, the cheek of you Liverpool fans to call for Pogba to turn up now, where you've been cussing, calling him overrated, etc. all season. You know what? We'll see what Pogba we get on Sunday. Unfortunately, we don't have 10 or even 5 Pogbas, and Man City's arguably got 5 or 6 Pogbas. So one might not be enough.
We've got 5 or 6 players a lot better than Pogba.
Right. Settle down, Ray. Settle down.
Look, I try and be objective, mate. If my objectivity rubs your nose in it, that's even better. But look, if you ask me who's better than Pogba this season, straight away I'd say Raheem Sterling. Straight away I'd say KDB. Even though he's not played that much.
Is Raheem Sterling better than Pogba? Is he a better player than Pogba, or was he better than Pogba this season? Because that's 2 different things. He's better than
Pogba. He was better than Pogba last season. He's better with Pogba this season.
Better than Pogba in the World Cup.
He's getting better and better.
He's better than Pogba in the World Cup.
Pogba was, for me. Look. Hey. Okay, I'm going to talk with my French hat on because my family's all French.
Yeah.
Okay, my wife and kids are French, so even though we got knocked out in the semis, I still won the World Cup, mate. So I still walk around as proud as punch that we won the World Cup. I think I'm allowed to. I don't think Pogba was brilliant. That's my personal opinion. I don't think France were brilliant. They did what they needed to do. They played a good structured team. Were they the best team in the World Cup? I don't think so. Okay.
Belgium?
I think Belgium. Personally. Certainly not England. But I still think. Look, Sterling's done it for 2 seasons better than Pogba. Now in the Premier League, not in Italy, he's done it in the Premier League for 2 seasons, much better than Pogba. Now, if Pogba wants to say I'm better than Sterling, he's gonna have to pull out some numbers, not score all these penalties. He's gonna have to pull and really drag his team through games. I don't think he's going to do better than Sterling next season in the Premier League, primarily because I don't think he wants to be in the Premier League next season. So, it'd be very, very interesting. I'm going to have to wind this up, Neeks. We got 1 question each, which is the same question, I think, and it's score predictions. Yeah. And I'm keen to hear your score prediction.
I'll say 2-1 City.
I'm tempted to go the same and say 2-1 City. Normally I'd say 2-0, but I think some of your guys have got a point to prove.
They have to. They've got no choice. If they want a future at Manchester United, they have to.
And I think Rashford will come to the party tomorrow. I think he'll come to the party, Rashford. If others don't, he will. And so 2-1. Obviously take. I'd take that. It's going to be a tight finish to the season. Whatever happens, it's going to be incredible.
I'll just be keeping an eye on the Arsenal results. If they drop points to Wolves, then we're still in the top 4 race.
I think. I mean, I was. I'll be honest. We'll talk about this briefly. I was shocked when people said Arsenal will get top 4. When I looked at it, when they had 5 away games and 2 home games, and I said, no chance. Look at their away form. Are they suddenly? They've been diabolical away from home all season. The defense has been pathetic, letting goals in almost every single game.
I think
home and away.
I think it's more of a slight on Manchester United and Chelsea. Why people were saying Arsenal will get it, because Arsenal have been bad away from home, but they've been very good at home. We've been bad at home. We've been bad away. Chelsea have been inconsistent as well. So I think it's a lot to do with that more than.
Look at it. It obviously didn't help anybody's cause that Spurs come out and got that late winner tonight. And instead of being on 68 points and catchable, they're now on 70 and almost uncatchable. Because, for instance, for Man United, yes, you got a game in hand, but their goal difference is 15 better. So, in my book, you're not catching Spurs. I'm just looking at your top 4 options. Now, Chelsea are on 67 points. You're on 64.
We're playing on Sunday.
Yeah, and you've got the game in hand. And even if you beat, you'd have to beat Chelsea 3-0 and only lose 1-0 to City. And you'd still be behind Chelsea. So you'd have to hammer Chelsea to get ahead of them. And Arsenal, they're on 66.
Well, they got Wolves away, they've got Leicester away, and I think is it Burnley away? I think it's Burnley away.
I'll be shocked if Arsenal make it. You still got a chance, but I think
tomorrow's performance will tell me more than the result. The performance will tell me whether we've got what it takes to get top four.
Yeah, very interesting to see what happens. It is another. I mean, last season you stopped us winning the title against you. I mean, that would have been amazing. You had some City fans crying. I mean, I'm thinking, why are you crying?
Because that's the moment you were supposed to.
Yeah, but
take over.
Yeah, but be disappointed. Don't cry. And whatever happens this season, I won't be crying. I might be disappointed or ecstatic. The only way I'm gonna, no, I'm not gonna cry. I might wet myself if we win in the last minute at Brighton and to get the league. I don't mind, but I'm not gonna cry. But no, I've got to say, Neeks, to round it off, it's been a pleasure chatting with you tonight.
Very much.
It's been great fun. It's an important derby, for both clubs. I mean, you're sat there. I'll throw another dig in, but you're sat there 24 points off the top of the table right now.
Only 25. It'll be 21 tomorrow.
24 points, man, and it could be 30 by the end of and that is a heck of a slap in the face. You got a lot of work to do over the summer.
The next 2 summers, more than
yeah. But it's going to be an amazing game tomorrow. I'm sure a lot of tension, a lot of nerves. Hopefully a lot of football. They made the best team win. Yeah. Thanks very much, mate.
Thanks for having me, Ray.